the control verse.
Yeah.
So let's go. Hold on. All right, y'all. Welcome again to Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. I said we were going to be right back on our next video. Now we're going to stay with the Kendrick Lamar theme this evening, and I want to talk about Control, Reese. The legendary verse that never came out as a single with the Big Sean single with Jay Electronica and Kendrick Lamar, where Kendrick Lamar set the world on fire, basically calling out his whole generation from Meek Mill to Drake to Wale to J. Cole to Freddie Gibbs to, the list goes on. Basically saying, I'm going to take your heart. I'm coming from the crown, and who's here to compete with me? I just want to get your stance on that verse, where it ranks in hip hop history, and what do you think is the impact of that verse in hip hop history?
I think this is probably the most talked about verse outside of Beast from the East, the Cannabis verse.
Cannabis, yeah.
I think Control was a moment in hip hop history that we needed and that would never ever be replicated. Yeah. You had one rapper who basically called out all his contemporaries at the time and basically said, I'm not rocking no more designer shit. This is all about competition. Are y'all my niggas? But y'all should know what this is, hip hop. Y'all should know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to, I got love for y'all, but I'm trying to murder y'all. I'm trying to make sure all your core fans never heard of you niggas. No one here, one now, one verb. I'm silly from none of you niggas. What is competition? I'm trying to raise the bar high. You know what I'm saying? So he basically put it out there. Now, the thing about hip hop that I noticed, even from back then until today, it actually got worse, is rappers are very sensitive.
This generation sensitive.
Yeah. He made, from that moment on, he exposed every sensitive rapper.
That's right.
From that moment on. I'm talking from people who wasn't even mentioned, jumped out the window. You know what I'm saying? And for a rapper who basically turned hip-hop on his head like that, and what did Jay-Z say? He said, it's funny how one verse could fuck up the game. That he was talking about Control. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically saying, like, this, you see what happens? And I think that Control, it's what, 13 years, how long ago? It's 13 years ago?
Years,
whatever.
Right. Yep.
And we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, what verse we still talking about 13 years later? I think Control really reset and put people in a position where either you're going to be a beast or you're not. And that was the start of the Boogeyman right there. That was the origin story.
That was the birth of it. I want to talk about it from three different perspectives. I want to talk about it first from the Kendrick Lamar perspective. Then I want to talk about it from the perspective of the rest of his generation. And then I want to get to the Drake perspective after that. First, from the Kendrick Lamar perspective, I think this was the moment that made Kendrick Lamar a legend. I think after Good Kid, Mad City, I think people had buzz that this was somewhat of a classic album, but people didn't really go back to it the way they would some of the other classics of the previous generation they went back to. I think after this put Kendrick Lamar on the map as this dude ain't no ordinary West Coast rapper. This dude is different. This dude, it really is an alien. This dude is taking control of the game, no pun intended. And I mean, he came and said, listen, I'm the king of New York right now. I'm the best rapper in New York. And New York didn't have an answer for him in this generation. I mean, the closest thing was French Montana, for crying out loud. And it was factual. And It ruffled a lot of feathers, but after this started the real run. After this was To Pimp a Butterfly, the Grammys, the performances. Damn, the I mean, this man became the face of this generation, I think, from this. And I didn't think that we'll get to Drake in a minute, but I didn't think people were ready for it. But I think this indirectly was the beginning of Kendrick hate culture, which, in my opinion, is actually bigger than Drake hate culture. This was the beginning of it, where people would actually side with Drake just because he said, "I'm the king of New York wearing the crown." I think this was a masterful verse, and it birthed one of the top 10 greatest MCs of all time. Let's go get your points on that, and then let's talk about the rest of this generation.
I definitely think that this it opened the gateway for people to because see, the thing about Kendrick Lamar is ever since Control came, he stood on business.
That's right.
He stood on business on everything, and
he
made
had
it
a classic out ever since.
Yeah, he made it a point to actually avoid everything everybody else was doing. He got rid of his social media, everything. He made it a point to actually go the opposite way. That's why I always say this about Kendrick Lamar. Off of just purity, he might be the biggest rapper ever. Because you realize that he don't use the same tools that everybody else uses. And he's still extremely popular. Like
That's
all
right.
these dudes use Instagram and all this stuff. He don't use none of that. I guess it's word of mouth. But I think that Control, to me, did open the door for haters. Because once you say
the hate culture,
I'm trying to like, he was so aggressive too. His vocals, his tone in that verse, I'm trying to murder you. Like he was very aggressive. I think it kind of scared a lot of people. I'll be honest with you, especially rappers. It scared a lot of rappers and it scared a lot of fans. And I think that he opened the door for hate. And that's where we at today.
You brought up it exposed the sensitive rappers. I think it exposed this generation, and I'm going to take it 13 years later, that this generation was not the 2000s and not the 90s. I think a lot of these rappers, and I'm going to name names. I'm going to name Wale. I'm going to name Meek Mill. Yes, I'm going to name J. Cole, and I like J. Cole. I'm going to name Drake. I think a lot of these rappers coming in out of the 2010s generation felt that they were entitled because they got the cosigns from the Jay-Z's, the Lil Waynes of this world, the Rick Rosses of this world. And they thought that just because I had some hits on the radio and I had buzz and I made the freshman cover, I'm a legend already. They didn't think they had to compete. And you see that today. I mean, I hate to break the hate to bring it up because I actually think J. Cole's having the strongest year in hip hop, but look how he pulled out of the battle with Kendrick Lamar. Look at Wale. Wale is the most sensitive rapper where whenever he gets a littlest criticism by, bloggers, he has to go at them on Twitter. And of course, we're going to get to Drake. We got to get to Drake. We got to have a whole separate conversation with how it impacted Drake. But just your take, it definitely did expose the sensitivity in this generation and why they are not the 2000s or the 90s. What's your take on that?
I definitely think that when Kendrick came, when he did Control, he kind of like he wanted to rejuvenate the 90s hip hop and bring the competition back. I think a lot of rappers in the 2000s and in the late 2000s, they kind of try to forget about that era.
Yeah.
It was more team ups. It was more getting along. Kendrick Lamar was a guy who said, "No, this is competition. This is not about this." So I think a lot of these rappers, especially like rappers like Wale, rappers like Drake, rappers like Cole, they're used to getting along than actually competing. That's where they come from. They come from that. I think over time, especially with Drake, I think Drake kind of like he feels as though he has to go that way now. Because everything he does, he has to try to compete now. But the other rappers, to me, exposed them being sensitive, and they was really hurt by this. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them are just soft. They're not really good
They are
at
soft, man.
actually going back and forth with these rappers. They're soft. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
soft as to, I think a lot of them are, they went in one direction and they're afraid to be creative. They want to follow a model that everybody else is doing. It's kind of the reason why I think this 2010s generation kind of let the SoundCloud and mumble rap generation take over and say, well, we just got to do some vibe records with Future or um, Travis Scott or whatever, and that's how we're going to get our notoriety as being great. And that's not the way, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it showed this generate this. It showed how soft this generation is. I totally agree with you, man. And it's sad because this generation had potential, but outside of the big three, there's no one really to carry this mantle on, and hip hop's in trouble for that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still have legends from the 2000s, like a Young Jeezy, like I would say a Jada Kiss. They're still going, you know, even though they're not making albums like that, they still have a buzz and aura about them. Where
Mm-hmm.
a rapper like a Wale, and I hate picking on Wale like this, he has no aura. He put out a very good project last year, but nobody really cared, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he complained, "Oh well, how come I don't get nominated for a Grammy and all of this stuff?" Because you're not competitive enough. You're not a guy that's going to be cutting edge. You know, you put out
Yeah.
a nice album, but people, it falls by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Out of all of these people that we mentioned, and the only person that I think did never to me he was the only one that wasn't sensitive about this is Big Crit.
Yeah,
He's the only one that
I
wasn't
think
sensitive about that.
I think Freddie Gibbs too. But the thing about it is those two rappers right there, they're independent, so they're
Yeah.
only going to have but so much of an impact. But when it comes
Yeah.
to their music, they were creative. They had a new sound. They pushed boundaries within their forms of hip hop that rival that of the previous generation. And you can't say
Yeah.
that for many of the artists, you know? And of course we're gonna get to Drake.
Mm-hmm.
This was indirectly or directly, this was really the start of the Battle of 24. This was it. 11 years later, it finally came to a head. But this was the beginning of Kendrick Lamar came out with Control. Drake came out with what he said on Nothing Was the Same in the language. Kendrick came back with the BET Cypher freestyle, and then it was on. It was subbing each other from 100 to, I mean, it just went on and on and on. And finally, we got what we wanted in 2024. How do you think this record changed Drake? And was it, well, I think I know what you're going to say. Was it for good or was it for worse? This verse changed Drake.
All right, so this where I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of like I kind of got to side with Drake on this one in a way, right? And I'm explain why.
Yeah.
This was out of left field. Now imagine if me and you we cool, and then all of a sudden I do a track and I mention you in the track, and I say I got love for you, but I'm trying to take all your fans, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure none of your fans ever heard of you.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you're gonna hear. You're not gonna hear what is competition after that. You're not gonna hear that part.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
gonna hear
yeah.
that. So Drake, and from Drake's point of view, he looks at it like, damn, I helped you, I brought you on tour, bro. Like, what are we doing? Because and the reason why that is because Drake is not of hip hop.
He's not from this culture.
He's not from it. So he don't understand how this works. I had a whole company, Shadow Company. Shout out to everybody, Shadow Co, right? We used to battle each other all the time. All the time. We had names for corporate versus the cartel. We did it all the time. We went back and forth making songs about each other in the same studio. That's competition. That's sharp and stir. You know how that go. Meth versus
Iron
Chef.
sharpens
They
iron.
was in
That's
the
right.
same group
Yeah.
and they did a song and they battling. It's my turn, Meth versus Chef, right? You know what I'm saying? Drake didn't understand that part. He looked at it like, I'm paying for my friendship. All of these people, I'm giving you these looks, so we gotta be cool. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it was. I think that after that, Drake kind of realized that he don't have any friends in this whole thing. And Control, I think, woke him up. I think it brought him back to reality. Like, no, this is about really rapping, dog. Like, this ain't about just having a bunch of people around you that's saying we cool. This is about rapping. And I think that woke him up. And I think ever since then, that's the reason why he wants to compete with Kendrick. Because no matter what happens, I don't care if it's Jay, anybody, this is always going to be between them two because of this verse. He's gonna
Yeah.
whoever battle Kendrick or go at Kendrick or say things slick to Kendrick because of Control.
I think
That's what
what I've learned from this about Drake is, and this is what my problem with Drake, it shows his entitlement. I think Drake has come in this game and felt, because at the end of the 2000s, he was the golden boy. He was the boy everybody loved, from Jay-Z to Nicki Minaj to Lil Wayne, everybody, North, South, East Coast. He was, no pun intended, the golden goose. You know what I mean? As we've seen in recent songs from J. Cole and Drake. But the thing about it is, and the lesson learned is, you got to work for it. You can't just come in and act like, all right, I'm here now. Where's my crown? Where are my accolades? You know what I mean? And the petty behaviors of this guy, him pulling his name out from the Grammy consideration, him doing cease and desists on records, on certain collaborations behind the scenes, all of that. This is kind of the nexus of that is like, oh, that's how you want to be? All right, well, I'm going to do this, because if you don't kiss my ass, then I'm going to have a problem with it. And it shows the diva mentality of it. And I think it trickles down to the fans, because so many years later, I think his fans carry the same diva mentality as, well, if you're not doing this, then you don't matter, because we don't care about competition. We don't care about being the best with songs or albums or classics or even Grammy Awards. Just as long as you stream a certain amount and you don't make that threshold, you don't make 200,000, you don't matter, because Drake tells you so, because he feels entitled that way. So to me, I think this verse had a negative detriment on Drake, which he took to the fans, because he poisoned the fans with that kind of entitlement. And that's what fucked up the game today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I definitely think that he did take that stance of, I deserve this. Look what I did. And when you coming into something and when you're good at it, you get comfortable, you put your feet up. I think that's what happened with Drake. He got real comfortable being where he was at in hip hop. He was never challenged. And I think that he already felt like he won the game already.
That's right.
Like I already won already. So no matter what, look at me. I'm bigger than Jay. I'm bigger than Nas. I'm bigger than these dudes. What are you talking about? I'm Drake. And once Control happened, it brought him right back down to reality. Like, no, you're cool, but you're not who you think you
You're
are.
not that guy. You got to work
You're
for
not
it.
that guy. And what he did was, instead of competing, he started bitching. And now people see that and they say, damn,
So,
he right. What do you mean, Kendrick? What are you talking about? And
yeah.
everybody, all the sensitive rappers came out. All, not even sensitive rappers, the fans started following him. Nah, this is why you get today people defending the lawsuit. They're like, no, they was doing him wrong.
Amen.
You
Yep.
crazy. I
Exactly.
can't believe that you would actually do that to him. Drake, what are you talking about? Not knowing that Drake was doing all of those things behind the scenes. He is, if you ever watch Game of Thrones, he is the little finger of the whole story here.
I
You
know
know what I
what
mean,
you're talking about.
Littlefinger is
Yeah.
a character who pretended to be something, and behind closed doors, he was something totally different. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's Drake in this whole situation. You know, I want to just say that, but I think that he started bringing his selfish ways into hip hop, and try to take the competition out of it by complaining about shit, instead of saying, like, look at me, like, no, you can't. Who do he think he is saying this? I'm much bigger than him. That type of mentality. And then
It's
people start looking
entitlement,
at
bro.
that. It's like,
Uh,
damn, you right. How is it?
and
How can you streaming way more than him? It goes back to the streaming thing.
we're going to talk about in a
Everybody
minute.
is
Yeah.
more focused on that, not the talent. When it comes to Drake, every argument is the same. He streams the most, but it's never, he actually has the best songs, because streaming
And
to
it goes
them,
back
yeah.
to why this is exactly the reason why we go back to Drake's latest comment of I put 3 albums on your head top. I see your album, the other albums flop or whatever, blah blah, talking about ASAP and Rick Ross, and then going to, be careful of your reply. My penny ain't dry. That's the entitlement right there. Because
Mm-hmm.
now, with an open lawsuit out, you really think you're calling out Jay-Z. Like, where do you get the audacity to call out Jay-Z off of what? You know what I mean? Why? Because he put he put Kendrick Lamar on the Super Bowl stage instead of you. Like, you're really that guy. And this, it goes back to this verse. Like,
He's
because
he's
he
yeah,
felt he was owed that
yeah.
13 years ago.
He's he's 1-5 out of all the battles he's been in.
Is it one
One
in
in five.
four? Is it 104? You're talking. Wait, Meek Mill was the win, but
The
then you
win.
got
But I would
Kendrick.
even argue that that was a win, but that really damaged him though. That was
Because of
that was a win that he poisoned him, like at
the
the end of the
ghostwriter.
fight. Meek
Yeah,
Mill stabbed him with something and poisoned him. Like that was a fight, but he has 1 win and 5 losses.
and that's what
Clear
Kendrick.
losses too.
That's Kendrick Lamar. That's Pusha T. That's Common. Joe Buttons, and who was the other guy?
Joe Buttons. And it was, who else I was thinking of? It was somebody, maybe it was 4. But I
Yeah,
think it's one other person I can't think of right now. But yeah, but those dudes he clearly lost to. Now, when we say he fought, yeah, he did. But I think that it became a parody with him, because once Control happened, I think he felt as though now he has to really flex on people. He has to show people that he can do this, he can do that. And his way of flexing is not through music. His way of flexing is sending letters out, stopping certain things from happening, blocking things. Like, that's his way of flexing. And I think a lot of rappers, this is the reason why everybody kind of went the other way and left him by himself, and nobody's working with him because of that. So I think Drake, once Control hit him, and he's like, "Oh damn, I gotta compete with this dude." Like,
Yeah,
so every time he got on the interview, what he said to Elliot Wilson, he said, "I mean, he just giving people moments." It's like, wait, won't you give people moments? What are we talking about? Why you don't do that? If you saying he's giving people moments, then won't you do the same thing? No, you actually did get personal moment because you did what you said. You said what you said to Elliot Wilson. That was a moment right there because you dissed Kendrick Lamar, saying, "Oh, well, is anybody talking about it right now? Can if I ask you how that verse start, can you tell me?"
yeah.
Like stuff like that. That was a moment that he created, but that was a sensitive moment. It was very sensitive, asking the crowd, like, "Yo, so yeah, tell me what y'all think about that," like stuff like that.
He's
Sensitive.
seeking validation.
Yeah.
See, I think it's interesting you go about how sensitive he is, but a clear example of that is the streaming. And I want to go to, I want to follow up. I think you did a great job on this video. Go check this out. The reason why hip hop ain't cool no more. Definitely like, share, subscribe on Torture Talk. And I want to take a little segment you talked about the streaming right here. I want to tie that into a conversation about Drake and why this era is so sensitive when it comes to not competing.
The next thing is the comparison of streaming numbers. Streaming has made hip hop not cool. The number game has made hip hop not cool because now it comes down to it's not about the actual skill of the artist, it's about the
Mm-hmm.
actual numbers of the artist. So a lot of people will look at this and they'll say Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Kendrick Lamar 1.445 billion 1.458 billion streams total. Drake 1.45 1.46 billion streams, right? And it's like two points off or whatever you want to call it, right? So people would the Kendrick fans that jump in the comments, or they'll just say, "Yeah, man, Kendrick streamed more than Drake." See, and then you'll say Drake fans say, "Oh, well, overall Drake has more streams." But it's never about the actual music. And another thing too,
Oh,
people do, and I say this all the time, is people equate numbers with actual talent and what
uh-huh.
is actually good out there. And that's not the case. So you got a lot of artists who are really not that good that has a lot of streams or not that good anymore. Because I could say that for Drake. I could say Drake isn't as good as he used to be, but he has such a large following that it can actually look as if he's still on top when it comes to the numbers. And that's what we base this off of. But that actually made hip hop not cool anymore because we never really cared about numbers. We all have become we have become what they call subservient to the numbers now. Now everybody cares about numbers. They don't care about the actual talent of the artist. They only care about the first week sales. How much did it stream? That's to them, that's the marker for if it's good or not. That's what it is.
I want to stop it there, but yeah, I want to stop it there because there's a lot to digest with that, and I want to follow up with not only is it just people look at the numbers for success, but people because of that, and because Drake hides behind the numbers now, and that he uses that and puts that out there to make it look like he's doing something special. People forget about classic albums. They don't listen to lyrics anymore. They don't listen to great song structure. They don't listen to artist catalogs anymore. They don't go out and support the artists like they did in the 2000s, in the 90s. And they just say like, all right, if it's streamed this, what songs are on it? They go listen to 2 or 3 songs and say that's great to them. And Drake started this, and he did this as a way so he wouldn't have to compete. He pulled all his albums out from Grammy considerations. Why? Because I won't have to compete against Kendrick Lamar or a Jay-Z or a Kanye West. He stopped putting out these narratives about that the critic score and critical acclaim doesn't matter, and he keeps putting out these videos and clipping videos talking about how Take Care didn't get a great Metacritic score because all of his scores are in the 50s compared to like 70s and 80s for Kendrick Lamar. This is a clear example of somebody that wants to take his ball and go home and tell his legion of Drake that streaming is the only thing that matters. And it's sad because now you can tell who are people who are part of the culture and not. Because if you start talking about he's the biggest streaming artist, I could tell you ain't a hip hop fan at all. You're not part of the culture.
There's something I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks now, and I think that Drake has him and his fans have fell into this thing called the art of persuasion. They're trying to persuade people that Drake is good through them constantly streaming his music. It's not that they're talking about the actual music
or the song.
They're streaming him. They're having streaming parties and sleeping streaming. And we need to keep it going because they want to persuade people that the numbers is the reason why he's number one, not through the music. So if people see Drake's album sales, they automatically think, damn, Drake's still on top. That's what they look at it. They don't care about the music because truth be told, Iceman isn't that good. Iceman is okay, but it ain't crazy. But the other albums is terrible. But you know what? They streamed. And people said, like people like Parks and the people from Joe Budden podcast, oh, that album was phenomenal. Like, come on, man. So they more into the trying to persuade people through the numbers. So convincing people, like, look at the numbers on Drake. He must be the best. But they're doing it behind closed doors the way that I think is kind of cheating because it's no different from bodying when you got 20 people telling all of their family members to stream Drake album, even though they don't like Drake or they don't listen to him.
That's right.
So now you got people sleeping and on repeat, that song on repeat, so he can go number one. How is that genuine?
And on top of that,
you have what they call it.
Yeah.
They have groups on Spaces on Twitter.
I've seen them groups, yeah.
These dudes in the groups are arguing about them not streaming the songs enough. They're not talking about the actual song. They're talking about they're not streaming enough. It's like, dog, how many did you stream last night? Did you stream 10 songs?
More than you.
Yeah, I streamed. You fell asleep. You was supposed to keep it on repeat. I told you to keep it on repeat. Like, what are we doing? So this is the type of persuasion that they're trying to get it off. It's like, you know how it is when you see something and it looks like it's good. Like you might see a movie, the trailer is, you be like, oh, this movie probably fire. And then you didn't even see the movie, and then one of your friends come to you and say, yo, bro, I seen that new movie. You like, yeah? Like, yeah, be like, it's fire. And next thing you know, you talk to me and you say, yo, that new movie is fire. But you never even seen the movie. So how are you saying this? This is how Drake fans are. They like telling each other all of these different things. It's like what they call circle jerk. You know what I'm saying? Like telling each other these different things.
But see, the thing is,
and that's it.
It basically gives Drake an excuse not to compete. He doesn't have to put out art. And especially when you pull everything from Grammy consideration, now you don't have to put out the best art out there because now you're competing against the Clips or Kendrick Lamar or a Jay-Z or even a Kanye West who are going to put out artistic pieces that are going to be judged not just off of streaming, but off of really the content of what they are. It's interesting because I've debated Drake fans online in my hip hop group, Hip Hop Roundtable Presents the Review, and guy comes out and says, you're wasting your time arguing because he's been the highest streamed rapper for the last 4 or 5 years. So he didn't fall off or whatever. And I'm like, well, why don't you talk about, any of the songs on there that are great lyrically, or the concepts of those songs? You don't say anything about those songs, but you just throw a number at me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's how I could tell, oh, you don't want to talk about how great Make 'Em Cry is, or what's the other one? Janice STFU. Where does that rank as to his one greatest singles or what have you? Where does that compare? They don't want to talk about that because they just look at it like, oh, it went number one, so it's great. So I had my win. I don't have to compete against everything else, and I could take my ball and go home. Drake is king. You know what I mean? So it's an easy out. It's an easy way. It's why we are in the microwave era still. But see, the joke's on them, because what's going on in hip hop? There are 2 songs in the Billboard Top 25. Country music is dominating now. And why? Because of streaming and streaming hip hop listeners. Because everybody else is going the indie route now. That's where the real hip hop is at. So right now, hip hop's suffering because of streaming. And it's an easy way to get validation and basically not compete against other real artists who want to make music.
That's actually facts. Another thing too that a lot of people are not really paying attention to. I definitely think that when it comes to, like, let's say Kendrick, right? People say that Drake, let's say Drake streamed or whatever. But the thing about Kendrick Lamar, Drake still ain't break his record.
That's
And
right.
I think a lot of, he still ain't break his record. Kendrick G and X sold more records than he still ain't break his record. So you can't really use that when it comes to these 2 rappers, when it comes to Kendrick and Drake. But what I find fascinating out of the whole thing with them is, when it comes down to it with Drake, and when it comes down to it with these numbers thing, they only talk about that. So they'll say, it's kind of like with Drake, it's kind of like, how would I say this? It's kind of like they say Drake is number 1 off of streaming, and that's it. So when Drake says that he's there's no other competition, he's talking from the streaming point of view. He's not talking from the artistic point of view, just the streaming point of view. Like, but he still fails at that, because Kendrick has the bigger songs than him. Kendrick has the more impactful he has songs. The bigger concerts than him.
That's right.
So even with that, he still loses. But again, his fans want to mobilize and try to break that record. You're never going to break Not Like Us or Luther record. That's never going to happen.
Can't do it.
At this point, he can never break those records. It's over, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't reach that. It's over. But his fans want to manufacture these numbers instead of being genuine. They want to, like, you ain't never hear about Kendrick Lamar fans having sleepover parties to stream Kendrick Lamar songs all night and all day just so he can go number 1. You ain't never hear about that. You know what I'm saying?
That's so real.
On top of that, it's a what they call it?
Weird behavior.
It's a false like, how would I say this? He's also tricking people too.
It's a false equivalency.
Yeah,
to success. False equivalency to success.
He's tricking people because his songs don't stay number 1. They'll be up there for like a week or 2, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at max, where Kendrick Lamar is breaking records and his song's staying on the charts for, 15 weeks straight. Like, so it's like, you're making songs, and then I have to ask that question. Is your song only staying there because your fans is constantly streaming the song? That's the only reason why it's there? Because what happens when they slow down from streaming? All the songs fell off the charts.
Did I really hear that Drake sold 80 copies of Iceman last week?
So last
out
week,
of like
Drake,
45,000 total streamed or
80
whatever.
copies. That's it. Last week,
That's
he only
weird.
sold 80 copies. Because Drake don't do a lot, and people don't notice too about Drake. He doesn't do a lot of physical. His album sales don't physically sell that well. He's more he's more of a streaming guy, but that's only because people constantly keep it on repeat. It's not that they go out and just listen to the music like.
And it's only 3 or 4 songs. It's only like Janice. He has 2 songs in the top 25. So last year, supposedly when he fell off, remember that narrative last year?
Yeah.
How many songs did he have in the top 25? 2.
That's what I'm saying.
So he fell off last year, but this year he's got the same amount, but he's the king of hip hop and he's the MVP and all of this when he was struggling last year like he is this year.
We live in an era where everybody associates how much you have with you being the best. And this goes for everything, like everything. You look at the gaming industry. How many sales did Nintendo Switch 2 sell this month? Oh, they're the best. Like that's how it goes. And I think Drake, he got hip to that, but see, he became a prisoner to that. Because see, now he can't do nothing else. If he does an album that doesn't do well, it's over for him. He has to do an album where he has to get streams. He can't do a regular album.
And I think the record label makes sure that it gets a certain amount of streams because they can't afford to lose. Because just like in the movie industry, they can't afford to lose money because they're only like maybe 10 to 15 artists that can stream, 300, 400,000, 200,000 to 400,000 in 1 week. And they have to win or else that company loses a lot of money. So they do everything. And yes, that would include botting from the streaming platforms like Spotify. So to me, we can have a whole show on streaming. I could go on all night about how
That's another thing too. A lot of people don't understand. Yeah, it's so many different. Like, and it's another thing that makes me laugh because people put Drake in this category of being the best because of streaming, but it's only one service that they're talking about. It's like 10 other services that people stream on. It's not just Spotify. Yeah. Spotify is number 1, but then you got Apple Music, you got Amazon, you have still got YouTube.
Tidal's still there.
YouTube is the biggest.
Yeah.
Because YouTube literally give you the album for free.
Yeah.
You don't have to ever pay for an album. You just have YouTube. Because once the artists put out the music, they put it all on YouTube. The same day it's released on the streaming platforms, it's on YouTube. And you could just listen to it for free on YouTube. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just that Spotify is the leader in streaming because of Drake placement, what they did with all his faces on all the charts. I mean, all the genres.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it is.
Yeah, man. Great talk tonight, man. Great talk. Yeah. 13 years. If you haven't heard Control, definitely check it out, which, you had to live under a rock not to have heard the Control version. Yeah. Definitely check that out on YouTube. Control, Big Sean, Jay Electronica, and Kendrick Lamar. One of the greatest verses in hip-hop history. So we'll be back with some new content later in the week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. Same thing with Torture Talk, Torture Chamber, and now Trust Talk for a lot of relationship topics here. There's a lot of stuff with marriage, relationships. If you want interested in that type of advice, that commentary, go check that out. So, Reese, thanks for joining me. We'll catch up later on in the week, and y'all have a good night. All right, peace.